Hi, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and my project today is using the Deco Foil Transfer Gel and the Altenew Kaleidoscope A stencil to create this super cool foiled background on this card. So that's the stencil, and I have it taped down on top of a piece of 6x6 Neenah Solar White cardstock. And I'm just opening up the transfer gel there, and I'm going to take my tiny spatula or painter palette knife, I guess it is, and spread the transfer gel all over the stencil. And I'm trying to be very careful to keep good contact between the stencil and the paper underneath so that none of the gel gets under the stencil. Now, it wasn't 100% perfect, but this is not a perfect process. You're not going to get a perfect result with the transfer gel. I did this a few times and none of the results were perfect. It is a little bit distressed and weathered. Jennifer McGuire has a really awesome video showing how she did a bunch of different designs using this stuff, and she also said it is not going to create a perfect result. So you have to be okay with that going in. If you're going to be bothered by like areas that don't get filled in, then this is probably not for you. But okay, there it is dried now. And here's a second one I did. And I live in Colorado. It's very arid here, and it says on the bottle to let it dry for an hour. And that's not long enough. Like here where it's super dry, now it was a little humid the day I did it, but it took at least 2 hours for it to be mostly dry. And I let it go for like 4 hours to make sure that it was super dry. So just be aware of that. Now here I'm running it through my Mink. This is the Anna Griffin. It's the mini machine. I let it heat up on setting 3 for a good 10 minutes. And as you can see, it's really slow. So I'm speeding it up quite a bit so you don't just sit here and watch it. It's pretty slow. And I did run it through twice just because I like to make sure that I get a good heated finish. But here it is once I peel it off. And there you can see, you can see there's like little areas where there are bits that didn't adhere. And that's okay, but that's what you're going to get with this. The result, though, is pretty cool, as I hope you could tell there. Now, to decorate my card front, I wanted to add at least one butterfly. So this is the one I started off with. And this is from the Bugs and Butterflies new stamp set from Elizabeth Craft Designs. And I'm coloring it with my Spectrum Noirs. Now, I'll be honest, these are a digital version because I'm on the design team for them, and I don't have the stamps, but I have the digital version. So this was printed on my printer, but Memento Tuxedo Black ink would work great for this if you're using Spectrum Noirs. Now, my first color there was CT2, and then I blended that with CT1, and then I added shading with CT4, and now I'm blending it out with CT2, as you can see here. And then I will blend it, I think, a little bit more with the CT1 to get a good blend. Now I have to apologize for the crazy lighting that's going in and out as I move my arms around on the camera. I think it's the way that my not so hot autofocus camera likes to deal with changes in the lighting when it's focused in this closely. So I apologize for that. I hope it's not going to drive anyone too crazy. Now the outer edges, I'm using pinks. So I started with PP3 and I'm blending with PP1, and then I'm adding PP5 for shading, and I will blend that again with PP3. But then you'll see me bring the kaleidoscope rainbow background in and decide that it's too light because that background is super colorful and super bold, and so I decided I needed to go darker. Now the body's TN7 with a little bit of shading with TN8. And then I think this is where I'm going to bring it in. Yep, here you go. And I just decided it's too light, too pastel. So I go darker. So this is BP6 that I'm adding. And then I'm going to take the PP5 and blend that out. And then I will blend all of that out with the PP3 to take the whole edge of the wings down one shade basically to get them bolder and darker, because I really wanted this butterfly to stand out nicely against that super colorful background. And once this is done, I will die cut him out with the matching die, as you see there. Now for a little detail, I'm taking some Nuvo crystal drops and I'm adding some polka dots to the yellow portion of his wings. So this is Dandelion yellow crystal drops from Nuvo. I love these drops. I use them all the time. And I needed some yellow and I just got yellow, so yeah. And then on the body, there are these little dots details, but I had to color over them because they're so tiny. With the Spectrum Noirs, it just wouldn't work to try to stay around them. So I took my Bubblegum blush crystal drops instead and added those on, and I had to clean it up a little bit with my tweezers, but worked like a charm, no problem whatsoever. And now I'm adding sparkle with my Spectrum Noir sparkle marker in clear just to the outer edges of the wings, because it is virtually impossible for me to have a butterfly without some sparkle. Okay, and then I had to have two other little guys. So this is a dragonfly, and then I do the other little butterfly. And the dragonfly I do in sort of greens and blues, and then the butterfly is a pinky purple. If you want specific marker names, if I've sped it up too fast, those will be available on my blog. It will tell you exactly which markers I used for which butterfly or insect. And I'm using Spectrum Noir on the rings again, and then I'm going to add some glossy accents, glossy accents to these guys to shine them up quite a bit to kind of go along with the shininess of the foil background on the card. And I will die cut these guys out as well. Now, sort of the main feature of my card was going to be the word happy. So I'm taking the Altenew bold alphabet, which I absolutely love. And there's another card where I did a hello card using this. And I'm going to die cut out the word happy. Now there's only one die per letter in the die set, so I was using the Q there as my extra piece because it's about the same size as the P as my placeholder, so I can get them all spaced correctly across the front of this. Now this whole piece is 6 by 6, so the foil part is probably 5.5 by 5.5. And so there you can see I'm trying to use a ruler to make sure I get them all straight. And this is a little tricky, but it can be done. And I think this was a little tough because the background is so patterned that it wasn't as easy to kind of see whether it was straight or not. So now I'm just adding in the second P, and then I'll get that die cut out. And so that is my fun happy word cut out. And then the cool thing about that is that I can save the letters for a card some other time. Then use the opposite. Now I'm taking my Nuvo glue pen, and this is the medium one, and I'm using it to adhere down the surrounds of the letters to this piece of Jelly Bean Green Gina K Designs cardstock. And then I'm taking my Quickie glue pen because it's super skinny and adhering the centers back into the letters. Now I tried to take the P's and like put them back in so I could stick the centers in the right place, but it just kept coming out when I pulled it up, so I gave up and I just eyeballed it. And you'll see on the second one I get it a little bit off, but oh well. It's a handmade card. It's not going to be perfect. So now I'm going to adhere it down to a 5.5 by 5.5 card base. I didn't want to take a 12 by 12 piece of paper and do a 6 by 6 card base because I didn't really have any white. So I decided I would just do a 5.5 by 5.5 and have the front overlap. No big deal. There's the big butterfly, and I am adhering him down to the lower left with a piece of 3mm double-sided adhesive tape from Elizabeth Craft Designs on just the body. And then I stamped B from Simonson Stamp Happy and Smile stamp set and die cut that out with the smallest heart in the Elizabeth Craft Designs Stitched Hearts die set. And now I'm just adhering down the small dragonfly and the small butterfly to two other parts of the card. So I want to take a second to talk about composition here. So the little insects are creating a visual triangle, and that is what helps your eye move across the card. And then the heart and the butterfly is providing some balance to that really large butterfly on the lower left. So it's kind of creating some visual balance to help the card feel correct. And so that's just a little bit of a tip about composition. And also, all of the insects face in towards the center, which is another way to help keep your focus on the inside of your card. Because if they face out, you're going to naturally start to, it takes the visual focus off the center of the card. So those are my little tips for the day. And there are some close-ups of my little insects. And here at the end, you're going to get a good look at how shiny that card is. Like super shiny. So I hope I've given you a little inspiration today for how to create a super bold and super shiny summery card. That transfer gel is pretty darn fun. If you're okay with a little bit of imperfection, I think it's definitely worth trying out. And it was a lot of fun to do that rainbow stencil on that crazy kaleidoscope background. So hopefully I inspired you a little today. As always, there's a supply list linked in the video description and over on my blog. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would love it if you would subscribe. I'm less than 50 subscribers away from 2,000, and I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary. So I'd be thrilled if I could get to 2,000 before then. Thanks so much. Have a great day.